Hey there, if stories of quiet comebacks and clever triumphs light a fire in you, hit that subscribe button now. Your next dose of empowerment is just one click away. James Carter stepped closer to me in the courthouse hallway, close enough that I could smell his expensive cologne. The kind he only wore on days he wanted to feel powerful. "Today is the best day of my life," he said, his voice low and confident. "I am taking everything from you." He smiled as if the outcome had already been written. Behind him stood Sophia Hayes, his assistant, his lover, his victory trophy. She did not say a word. She did not have to. Her smile did it for her. Sharp, certain, cruel. People walked past us. Lawyers, clerks, strangers with their own quiet disasters. No one paid attention to the small war unfolding in that narrow hallway. James straightened his jacket and looked down at me the way a man looks at something already owned. "The condo is mine. The accounts are mine. You should have taken the settlement when you had the chance." I said nothing. That silence irritated him more than tears ever could. He wanted fear. He wanted begging. He wanted proof that I was already defeated. Instead, I stood there calm, hands folded, eyes steady. "You always were quiet, Olivia," he continued, almost laughing. "Quiet women lose in court. My lawyer is a shark. Yours looks like he should be retired." Sophia shifted her weight and crossed her arms, flashing the bracelet on her wrist. The one he bought with money he thought I would never trace. James leaned in one last time. "After today, you will have nothing. No home, no leverage, no future." That was when my lawyer stepped beside me. Mr. Thomas Grant did not raise his voice. He did not rush. He simply asked me one question. "Did you bring everything we discussed?" I looked at James for the first time and met his eyes. "Yes," I said, "exactly as you asked." Mr. Grant nodded once. Then he turned slightly toward James and spoke calmly. "In that case," he said, "I suggest you prepare yourself. Today will be educational." James laughed. He had no idea the lesson was about to begin. Olivia Carter was never the kind of woman who filled a room with noise. She filled it with order. For most of her life, she worked quietly behind the scenes, making sure numbers lined up, bills were paid, and problems were solved before anyone else even noticed they existed. That was how James had always seen her. Useful, reliable, invisible. When people asked what Olivia did, James would usually answer for her. "She works from home. She does some accounting, nothing big." The way he said it made it sound small, unimportant, easy. In reality, Olivia handled financial records for 3 small companies, all from a laptop at the dining room table. She was the one who remembered tax deadlines, insurance renewals, and mortgage schedules. She was the reason their life ran smoothly, even when James forgot things. But because she did not wear heels to work or talk loudly about her achievements, James assumed she had none. After their marriage, Olivia had put her career on pause to support his. She moved when he needed to relocate. She took on more freelance work so he could chase promotions. She believed in teamwork even when the work was uneven. James mistook her patience for weakness. At dinner parties, he would joke that he was the provider and Olivia was the house manager. People laughed. Olivia smiled. No one asked who actually tracked the money or who made sure they stayed out of debt. Quiet people often see the most because they spend more time listening than talking. Olivia noticed when James started coming home later. She noticed when expenses went up without explanation. She noticed when affection was replaced by distraction. But she did not accuse. She observed. And in those small, silent observations, the real story of their marriage was already being written. The day everything changed was not dramatic. There was no shouting, no slammed doors. It was a quiet, rainy Tuesday, the kind of day that made the whole apartment feel smaller and heavier. Olivia was standing in the bedroom holding one of James's suit jackets. He had left it draped over a chair, wrinkled and forgotten. She planned to take it to the cleaners just like she always did. Out of habit, she checked the pockets. James had a way of stuffing important things everywhere. Business cards, flash drives, receipts. Olivia had learned long ago that if she did not check, something important would be lost. Her fingers brushed against a folded piece of thick paper in the inner pocket. At first, she assumed it was another business card. She unfolded it carefully. It was a receipt from a luxury jewelry boutique downtown. The total made her sit down on the edge of the bed. $5,000. The date was yesterday. The time was 2:30 in the afternoon. Yesterday at 2:30, James had texted her saying he was buried in meetings and would be home late. He had promised they would watch a movie together that night. Instead, he had been buying jewelry. Her heart did not race. Her hands did not shake. What she felt was colder than panic. Olivia picked up her phone and opened social media. James had mentioned his new assistant once. Sophia Hayes, young, organized, always cheerful. It took less than 2 minutes to find her public profile. The most recent photo showed a perfectly manicured hand holding a glass of champagne inside a luxury car. On her wrist was a gold bracelet with a blue stone. The caption read, "Best night of my life." Olivia did not need any more proof. In that quiet bedroom, surrounded by the life she thought she had built, something inside her finally went still. The marriage was over, but the accounting had only just begun. Olivia did not cry that night. She did not wake James. She did not throw the receipt at his face or demand an explanation. She did what she had always done when something did not make sense. She opened her laptop. Emotions create noise. Numbers create clarity. That had been her rule since her first accounting class. She created a new file and named it something only she would ever see: balance. Then she began to work. She logged into their shared financial accounts first. Credit cards, savings, mortgage payments. James had always believed she did not pay attention to those things. He thought money just appeared when needed. Olivia pulled every statement from the last 3 years. She saw patterns immediately. Small charges at first, restaurants, rides, gifts, then larger ones, hotel bookings, travel, jewelry, all during the times James said he was out of town for work. The math did not match his salary. Next, she checked her own records, transfers she had sent James every month to help cover household expenses. In the memo line, she had always written simple notes like rent or mortgage or utilities. It had never meant much to her at the time. Now, it meant everything. She created tabs. One for income, one for expenses, one for gifts, one for Sophia. Slowly, a picture formed. Not an emotional story, a financial one. James was not just cheating on her. He was financing another life. Every dollar he spent on Sophia came from money Olivia had helped earn or carefully saved. Their future was being used to decorate someone else's present. Olivia leaned back in her chair and looked at the screen full of numbers. This was not about heartbreak anymore. This was about restitution. For the next several weeks, Olivia lived in 2 different worlds inside the same apartment. In front of James, she was the same quiet wife he had always known. She cooked dinner. She asked how his day went. She nodded when he talked about meetings and travel plans. She even smiled when he pretended to care. James never noticed anything was wrong. In his mind, Olivia was exactly where he had left her in the background. But when he left for work or fell asleep beside her, Olivia became someone else. She turned the small storage room off the kitchen into a private office. That was where she spread out bank statements, receipts, and spreadsheets. That was where she followed the trail of money James had never bothered to hide properly. The condo was the first thing she checked. Years earlier, Olivia had received a large inheritance from her grandmother. James had convinced her to put it toward their down payment. He told her it was easier if it went through his account. She had trusted him. Now she traced every dollar. The money had come from her inheritance. It went to James's account, then straight to the developer. The amount matched exactly. Not a cent of it had come from James. The mortgage was no different. Every month, Olivia transferred the payment to James so he could press the final button himself. She thought she was supporting his pride. In reality, she was building her own proof. Next came the spending. Flights, hotels, jewelry, restaurants, all for Sophia, all paid with family money. Then Olivia saw something that made her blood run cold. Large transfers to betting sites, thousands at a time, always after James got a bonus or closed a deal. He was not just careless, he was reckless. By the end of the month, Olivia had something far more powerful than anger. She had evidence. And James had no idea the clock was already running out. Olivia did not choose the first lawyer she found. She chose the one who understood strategy. A colleague from her old firm gave her a name, Thomas Grant. An older man, quiet, precise, known for never taking cases he could not win. His office was small and lined with heavy books. There were no motivational posters or fake smiles, just shelves of law and the smell of old paper. Olivia placed her folder on his desk and began to speak. She did not cry, she did not complain. She told him what happened the way she would explain a financial report. Step by step, dollar by dollar. Grant listened without interrupting. When she finished, he opened the folder and started reading. Minutes passed in silence. He turned pages, studied numbers, compared dates. Finally, he looked up. "You did not come here for sympathy," he said. "You came here to finish something." Olivia nodded. He closed the folder slowly. "You have enough here to walk away with everything that is rightfully yours, possibly more, but only if we do this correctly." "What do we do?" Olivia asked. "We let him think he has already won," Grant replied. "We let him talk. We let him show who he really is. And when the time is right, we place the truth in front of the court." Olivia felt something she had not felt in weeks: control. For the first time since the receipt, the future no longer looked dark. It looked precise. James arrived at the courthouse as if he were walking into a celebration instead of a divorce hearing. His suit was tailored. His hair was perfect. He wore the confident smile of a man who believed the story would end exactly the way he wanted. At his side was Sophia Hayes, dressed too boldly for a courtroom, but just right for someone who wanted to be seen. They looked like a couple stepping into a future they believed was already secured. Olivia and Thomas Grant were already seated when James entered. He barely glanced at Olivia. In his mind, she was no longer important. James's lawyer spoke first. He was loud, polished, certain. He described James as the provider, the successful one, the man who paid for everything. He painted Olivia as a woman who stayed home and benefited from James's work. Olivia did not react. James sat back in his chair and nodded along. He believed every word. Sophia sat in the hallway, flipping through her phone, already imagining which furniture would go in the condo. The judge listened quietly. Then Thomas Grant stood. He did not rush. He did not raise his voice. He simply opened Olivia's folder. "Your Honor," he said, "this case is not about emotion. It is about records." He began with the condo. He showed the inheritance Olivia received, the exact amount, the date, the transfer into James's account, the payment to the developer. James shifted in his seat. Grant then showed the monthly transfers, every mortgage payment coming from Olivia's account before James made the official payment. James's lawyer tried to interrupt. Grant did not stop. Then came the spending. Flights, hotels, jewelry, all for Sophia, all paid with family money. James's face lost its color. Finally, Grant turned to the gambling. Thousands of dollars at a time, money that should have gone to the household, gone. The courtroom was silent now. James no longer looked confident. He looked trapped. And for the first time in months, Olivia knew he was finally seeing the truth. He was not in control anymore. Thomas Grant let the silence stretch before continuing. In a courtroom, quiet can be louder than any argument. "Your Honor," he said, "what you are seeing is not just irresponsible spending. It is a pattern of financial abuse and dissipation of marital assets." He handed the judge a thick stack of documents. These records show that James Carter used joint funds to finance gambling and an extramarital relationship, while presenting himself as the sole provider. James's lawyer was now flipping through his papers, his confidence gone. There was nothing there that could compete with bank statements and transaction histories. Grant moved slowly, carefully, as if placing each piece on a chessboard. "Here are the transfers to offshore betting accounts. Each one lines up with James's bonus payments. This was not entertainment. This was compulsion." James tried to speak, but the judge raised a hand. Then Grant held up the jewelry receipt. $5,000 for a bracelet, purchased during a workday, given not to his wife, but to Miss Sophia Hayes. He placed a printed photo on the table. "This is that same bracelet on Sophia's wrist posted on social media the very night it was purchased." James's shoulders slumped and finally Grant said, "There is the matter of income." Olivia Carter, as an accountant, reviewed James's work-related deposits and compared them to his reported salary. The numbers did not match. Grant passed more pages to the judge. These show payments routed through third-party accounts that were never reported, funds that were not taxed, funds that went directly into James's personal use. James's lawyer sat down heavily. "We are not here to pursue criminal charges," Grant said. "But this court must understand that James's claimed income is not only exaggerated, but partly illegal." James stared at Olivia across the room. He had thought her quiet meant ignorance. He had been wrong. The judge removed her glasses and studied the documents. When she looked back up, her expression had changed. "Mr. Carter," she said, "you have presented yourself as the victim in this marriage. The records tell a very different story." James swallowed. "The court will take a brief recess," the judge continued. "When we return, I will issue a ruling." As everyone stood, James finally turned to Olivia. "What did you do?" he whispered. Olivia closed her folder and met his eyes calmly. "I did the accounting," she said. Nothing more, nothing less. When the judge returned, the room felt smaller. The air was heavy with expectation. She did not speak slowly. She did not soften her tone. "The condo," she said, "is recognized as the separate property of Olivia Carter. It is not subject to division." James's head dropped. "The court further finds that James Carter dissipated marital assets through gambling and gifts to a third party. He is ordered to reimburse Olivia Carter for half of the proven losses." James's lawyer did not look up. "The vehicle purchased during the marriage will remain with James along with the remaining loan obligation." With each sentence, James's future grew narrower. Olivia did not smile. She did not celebrate. She simply breathed. Outside the courtroom, Sophia was waiting. Her patience vanished when she saw James's face. "Did we win?" she asked. James shook his head. Sophia stepped back as if he had become someone else. "You said there was money," she snapped. "You said we would live well." James had no answer. Sophia turned and walked away without looking back. Minutes later, James's phone rang. It was his company. The investigation Olivia had set in motion had already begun. By the time James left the courthouse, he no longer had a job, a home, or a future he recognized. Olivia walked past him without stopping. Some endings do not need words. Olivia stepped outside into the cool air and felt something she had not felt in a long time. Lightness. The sky was gray, but for the first time it did not feel heavy. It felt open. Thomas Grant shook her hand at the courthouse steps. "You handled yourself well," he said. "Most people let emotion ruin their case. You let truth do the work." Olivia smiled. "Numbers never lie," she replied. She walked to her car alone, not lonely. The condo was hers. The silence waiting inside it was hers. The future was hers. James had wanted freedom without responsibility. He got it. Olivia had wanted fairness. She earned it. This is what revenge really looks like. Not shouting, not destruction, but patience, preparation, and the courage to let the truth speak when it matters most.